So this is the part I'm gonna show you. You're gonna learn how to build this section where you have a can that is floating. As you can see, this can is like floating up and down, very subtle. And then also when I scroll, the whole text goes to the left and another one pops from the right. And then as I continue to scroll, you can see these cans are moving from different positions to the center of the stage. So how interesting is that? So if you want to learn this, let's dive in together. My name is Joe and this is Frima Dive. Let's get started. So this is my Frima workspace. As you can see, what I have here is I have a bunch of elements that I've already placed inside my workspace, and I'm just gonna quickly take you through what I have here. I have my sort of like the hero page, and where I'm gonna put that animation is going to be here at this part here. So it kind of, we're gonna add more body to this desktop. And on the left part I have these elements. So I have these images. These are images which are inside this container, and as you can see on the left bottom part, I've called it a can container. And then we also have 3 text containers which are just the same as the ones you've seen on the website. So the purpose is for them to be able to, so that we can get these things moving smoothly and quickly and get to the real thing as soon as possible. So when you open your remix file and get here, so what you're gonna do now, I'm gonna go to the desktop. Remember the desktop, this is where we see everything on our website. As you can see, nothing is here. So I'm gonna just come to the desktop, and I'm gonna, as you can see, I have the main, which has the hero and the banner ticker. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this main one, and now we have 2, and I'm gonna call this section. I'm gonna call this my section 2. So then I'm gonna get rid of this text container. I'm just gonna delete it, and I'm gonna come here to this hero, and this hero, as you can see, it has a width of 100% and a fill the height, fill the space, and the banner ticker here has a height of 90 pixels and the same width as this hero with 100%. So this sticker is the one that I had built, and is the one which is connected to the stack, as you can see. So we in this hero section, or in this hero container or frame, I'm just gonna go and grab one of these text of mine, this text container, and I'm gonna hold Control C on my keyboard, or Command C if you're on a Mac, and we're gonna paste it inside this hero. As you can see, nice. So then we're gonna go to the hero. As you can see, the hero has a dark background, and what we see from our website here, if I can go to the first one, we can see it has like a pinkish color in the background. So we're just gonna come to the hero and come to the fill part, and I already created some presets colors here, so I just need to identify it and just change it to this pink color. So then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna just come and grab this container, which is the can container. I'm gonna hold Control C, and I'm gonna just paste it inside this hero. And let me not call this hero, let me call this let me just call it the background, the BG. And then we have this can container, and as you can see, they are against each other. This is because this BG has a layout to it, and as you can see, it also has this gap here. So I'm gonna make sure the can container positioning type is switched to absolute positioning, and I'm gonna make sure that it's positioned at the center of my BG. So I'm gonna hold Alt VH to bring it right into the center. Okay, so nice. So as you can see, now we have something nice. So we have the cons here, but we need to separate this con so that we have the required con, which is this one, which is back there below there. So what we need to do now, we need to let me just add the other bunch of text. I'm gonna just go and add this text container too. I'm gonna Control C, and I'm gonna just paste it inside my BG. So I'm gonna make sure it's just next to the second. So we have text 1, text 2. Again, as you can see, it's positioned in absolute relative, so I'm gonna change it to absolute. And then quickly I'm gonna position it at the center, the text container that I've just pasted inside. I'm gonna hold Alt VH to put it at the center, and then I'm gonna do the same here, and I'm gonna take this one, Control C, and I'm gonna do the same, and I'm gonna paste it inside this BG, and I'm just gonna take it up here just so that they can stay close together. And then of course change the positioning to absolute positioning, and again we need to bring these rows right in the center. So click it and hold Alt VH just to make sure it's at the center of our page. So now as you can see, we have a lot going on inside here. So as you can see, we have everything inside here, but now this is the first step. The second step is we want to now sort things out, and we're gonna make it now much simpler. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start by changing the whole BG into a component. And so I'm gonna hold Control Alt K. Okay, but before we do that, before we go into the details, let me first remind you that if you see our design here, the reason why we are switching from one one text or can to another as we scroll is because we have different scroll sections, and this happens when we scroll from top to bottom. So we need to create that scroll space where as someone scrolls, they're moving from the top part of the website to the bottom part of the website. And to do that, we just need to create something called a scroll section. And I'm gonna just hold F on my keyboard, and I'm gonna hold just create a frame, and I'm gonna hold Control X, and I'm gonna paste this frame inside my desktop frame. And as you can see, it's here. So I'm gonna call this it's called the scroll section container. Okay, so then I'm gonna make sure that this is set to relative 100%, and then I'm gonna make sure this is okay, let's just leave it to 312. But now we need to add the scroll sections inside this container because it's a container. So I'm gonna hold F again on my keyboard, and I'm gonna make sure that, let's go to the scroll section and make sure it has a layout activated, and then this frame that is inside it, make sure it has a width set to fill so that we can see it, so that it takes all the available space. And then now this is where the magic happens. Make sure you come to height and set it to viewport, and it will be at 100%. And notice when we set it to 100%, it eats up this top section, and we just need to come to the parent and make sure we have distributed it from the start. So make sure we have distributed this parent from the start so that this frame starts from this top part. And then I'm gonna go to the height of this scroll section, and I'm gonna set it to viewport, to fit the content so that it fits the content or rather this frame again. And then I'm gonna make sure, let me just give this a different color so you can see what we have. And I'm gonna duplicate this frame again. As you can see, now we have 2 frames, and again I'm gonna use 3 frames, and I'm gonna call this section 1, section 3, and section 1, 2, 3. And then I'm gonna make sure that there are no gaps inside here. And then our section 2, we can give it let's give it a slightly different color so you can see what I'm trying to imply here. So here basically we want, as we scroll this page, we are scrolling along this space here, but what we're gonna see is just this part here. So let me show you what we have. So now, as you can see, as we scroll, we are scrolling past this one, but it shouldn't be the case. But I'm gonna show you how we're gonna change that. But now, as you can see, we are covering all our spaces. Okay, so let's go back and see how we can do that. So we need to come to section 2, the one that has our content, and we need to set this to sticky positioning. And what you see when we switch it to sticky, it adjusts the height to 20 VH. So we need to go back and return it back to 100 VH, okay, just to set it back to its normal position. So now this section 2 is set to sticky, and whenever we set any section to sticky, we have to make sure all its parent frames are set to visible. So come to the desktop and make sure it's visible. So now when I view the website, let's see if it's sticky. Nice. So as you can see, I'm scrolling and it is sticking to our page. Nice. So this is exactly what we want. So that's the critical second step that I wanted you to get. Remember, we have this scroll space here, and then we have set this frame here, which is where we have our content, which we've called it the BG, and we've set it to a sticky positioning type. This is section 2. Okay, yeah, so now we can come to section scroll section, and we can get rid of the opacity because we don't want to see it much, but we want this space. So the second thing, now we're gonna go back to section 2, and I'm gonna go to the BG, and as you can see, we have the BG, and I'm gonna go to section 2, and I'm gonna change this whole section. I'm gonna change it to a component. So because we want to sort things out, we want to make this look good while we are inside a component. So I'm gonna hold Control Alt K, or you can right click and click here, create component, and I'm gonna call it section 2. And now we have, this is a place where we do the magic. This is like the back part of the website. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna create 3 variants, and remember, we're using 3 variants. We're also using 3 scroll sections because we have 3 kind of cons, and we have 3 contents. Okay, so the first step is we're gonna work on the first variant, and remember, this variant has this is the variant. So remember, we have this BG, and inside the BG we have the text container 1, 2, and 3, and the can container. So here, remember, the text container 2 is the one which we don't want to see it. We can come here and clean the opacity and we won't see it, but this is what I want you to do. So I want you to grab it, the positioning type of text container 2, and I want you to drag it to the right side. Let me show you what is happening here. So I'm grabbing the text container 2 and I'm dragging it to the right side, kind of removing it from the picture of variant 1 primary. So I'm dragging it away and I'm giving it like minus 1030, or just, if you want to make it quick, I'm gonna give it 1200. So now we've pushed it to the right side. It's not inside this primary, and we're gonna do the same for section text container 3. And I'm just gonna come and pick it up, and I'm gonna use these arrows and I'm gonna drag it to the right side. Okay, so now as you can see, so let me just go back. So now what we want to do is I'm gonna drag these rows to the farthest end. So remember, I'm just gonna drag it, as you can see. So we can give it also minus 1200, just to get it out of the picture. Okay, and then yeah, so we can give it again, as you can see. Now we can see that it's no longer here and our page is becoming more clearer. So we're gonna do the same for the cons. So I'm gonna start with this rose con, which is the one that should be at the farthest end, and I'm just gonna come here and also do the same, and I'm gonna drag it outside the page. So I'm gonna just go away. I'm just, notice I'm using the positioning and I'm scrolling it to the farthest point, and then as you can see, it's pinned to the left. I want you to come and also make sure it's pinned to the center always. And remember, even this one, we have to make sure all our absolute positioning are pinned to, pinned to the center. Okay, like that. So we're gonna do the same for this can, which is this can again. As you can see, it's pinned to the right, but we wanna pin it. We wanna take it down. Okay, we're gonna just get it down, get it outside of our space here. We just take it down. As you can see, it's here. It's going down, and I'm gonna unpin it. And now, as you can see, we have a clean page. So what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna go to the second variant, and we're gonna now return it back to its original position. So remember, when we come from first to second, now this one needs to disappear and go away, and we need to bring in this text container 2 back inside. So let's start by disappearing this text container 1. So remember, when we are scrolling, it goes to the left part. So again, as you can see, text container 1 was relatively positioned. So we made a slight mistake there. So go back and make sure this text container 1 is set to absolute positioning, and that's okay. And then it will just appear, it will change, it will update the other variants. So come to this text container 2 here, and which is here. Make sure you're in the second variant, and you want to drag it to the left part. So you want to get it away of the page, or get it off the stage. So I'm gonna get it off this stage. Just take it anywhere and make sure to unpin this. And then what do we want to bring inside? We want to bring in the text container 2, and now I'm gonna try and see if we can bring it. So I can do this manually, or I can hold Alt VH and bring it back to the center, which is a shortcut to bring in any frame in the center of the board. So I'm gonna unpin this, and I'm gonna do the same for this one. Remember, this one should also go away. So I'm gonna take it up and just make sure it goes away, goes back to its, just disappear from this space. And then we're gonna bring back now this can, which is supposed to be here, which is this one called Gringio, and we're gonna bring it inside here, and we're gonna get rid of the pin to the bottom. Okay, so nice. Now as you can see, we have variant 2, and we're gonna do the same here for variant 3. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna come here to the main text container 1, and I'm just gonna drag it to where it should be. It shouldn't be anywhere here. And then we're just gonna drag it outside completely, and then we're just gonna unpin this, and also this one. I'm just gonna drag it where it should be. It was somewhere up there, and then I'm gonna come and make sure I bring in the text container rows, which should be, I'm gonna hold Alt VH to bring it to the center, and then I'm gonna take this one, I'm gonna hold Alt VH, which is a text container 2, 3. I'm gonna bring it to the center of the board. So now as you can see, we have 3 variants, and they are nicely positioned inside. So now we just need to add an interaction where, as we scroll, we can see the switch from variant 1 to. So now what we need to do is, now that we have our variants and they are nicely sorted into their respective variants, what we need to do is we need to now add a trigger so that we change from one variant to the next. And the trigger we're going to use, we go to the section 2 component. I'm going to come here to effects, and I'm going to use a scroll effect, scroll variant effect. And then I'm gonna set it to section in view. So when a certain section is in view, we're gonna trigger it. But now remember, we have not defined our section. So let's go back to the scroll section container, and we start by defining this section here. And I'm gonna call it, come here to scroll section on the bottom right. I'm gonna click this plus icon, and I'm gonna call this scroll section 1. Okay. So, and then I'm gonna do the same here. I'm gonna call this scroll section 2, and I'm gonna call this scroll section 3. Okay, So now we have 3 scroll sections, and now we can assign our triggers into their respective scroll sections. So I come here to scroll section, and I'm gonna make sure when the viewport is at the bottom of the viewport, and then I'm gonna use section 1, and then I'm gonna use section, okay, when it's in section 1 we remain to variant 1, and then I'm gonna add another section here. When we get to section 2, remember, as we're scrolling to section 2, we're gonna switch it to variant 2, and then when we go to section, when we go to section, section 3, we're gonna switch it to variant 3. Nice. So let's see if our animation works. So I'm gonna start scrolling. As you can see, I'm scrolling, and it goes. It's working. As you can see, it's working. Nice. Nice, it's working. But we have a problem. Our can, like this can here, is kind of arranged weirdly. And then we have this can, it's very fast. Even this one is very fast. So this is now where we need to work on the transition part, which is what separates a professional from beginner. But I'm gonna show you how to, tweak the transitions and make it feel real and smooth. Okay, so let's go back to our component here, and we want to start by coming here to the transition. So when I click the variant 1 and I edit the transition property, it's gonna affect every single variant here, which is good because it's gonna help it makes it easier. Okay, so I'm gonna click here transition, and I'm gonna change it to ease, and I'm gonna use ease in and out. I'm gonna use a slight delay. I'm gonna make it happen at 0.4. So it means that this transition will happen within 0.8 seconds. And then we're gonna have a slight delay of 0.4. Okay, and then that's nice. And then the second thing we're gonna do is notice what happens here. Now, as you can see, we can see the transitioning happening. So we can see that our transitioning has improved. Now it's much smoother. But now what we want, as you can see, remember from our page here, you can see these cans, the cans are like moving, and they're like rotating, and they're also bouncing. This can is floating, and also when it gets off stage, it kind of is like, it's like being thrown inside the stage. This is that effect. So let's first focus on this effect where the can is coming up and down, which is basically a loop effect. So I'm gonna come here to this variant, and I'm gonna click this narrow can, and I'm gonna add an effect here. I'm gonna add a loop effect, and I'm gonna make sure it's mirror, and then I'm gonna delay, set delay to 0. That's okay. Rotating, I'm gonna set it to 0. I don't want it to rotate. Okay, and then I'm gonna make sure that we offset it from like 25, and then we're gonna use a linear transition, and let me just see if it's okay. Slightly we can increase the time a bit. 1.3 is okay, so we can see it happening. So now if I view this one, it should, as you can see, there's this nice floating thing, and I just need to copy this effect. So I'm gonna copy it, and I'm gonna paste inside these 2 cans, these other 3 cans, and I'm gonna just click here, paste effect. So every can now has this effect, as you can see, which is pretty good, very fast. So the second thing is, remember, we have this can kind of twisted. As you can see, it's kind of twisted down, and this is not the position that we want it to be. So I'm gonna drag it to the position that we want it to be, which is, I think, this way. And then I'm gonna go to variant 2 because this is the variant that it moves from, and I'm gonna identify this rows container. As you can see where it is, as you can see, it's here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's this one here. This is the rows container off stage. So I want it, when it comes, we're gonna move from this situation and gonna roll in and come to this state. Again, this we also can also make sure this is okay. So this, we want it to be in this position, and then let's look at its off stage. Come to this primary one, and we can see the green gear. It's we can just twist it a bit, and then actually let's just twist the main on stage, and let's just change it to, sorry, I'm gonna just rotate it to like that. Let's just have fun with this, and I think that's pretty much it. This one is okay. So let's see what happens when we view our website. So when I scroll, as you can see, this thing is bouncing up and down, which is good. And then as I scroll, you can see it goes up nicely. This one comes from the down part. And then let's see our rows. It nicely comes inside it, but as you can see, it's not at the center of our page, is because of the pinning. It's pinned to this left part, so we just need to go back and make sure that it's pinned to the center. As you can see, this is pinned to the left, so we need to come make sure it's pinned to the center, so that once it happens nicely. So remember always to pin your items at the center. So now as I scroll, it goes up. This one, as I scroll, it goes nicely. Woo, nice. Now it's at the center. So that's pretty interesting. And whoa, this has been a very tough lesson, but I hope you learned something. And yeah, this is the power of Framer, and it's just very nice and very interesting. So you can use this design to build your e-commerce website. Perhaps you can use a shoe and design it like this, or you can use even a dog or anything just to make your website come to life. So once again, thank you for watching, and this is Framer Dive, and see you in the next video.